Welcome to Virtual Coffee with Dawn Rickabaugh, the Note Queen, where we talk about owner financing and notes. Financial solutions, one mom and pop to another.
So this looks like a performing note, and this note owner told me that he's not in any rush unless he gets cash. So he will not be interested in splitting the note, doing the partials, all that variation that we can do.
Okay, so he doesn't sound really motivated to me, but we're going to go through this.
Correct.
We're going to go through this just as an example. So let's just recreate this in our calculator here. 40,000 sales price, low end property. This, if he's in the business of doing this, I would guess that he's like in the business of, let's say, buying HUD houses on auction, and he may or may not rehab them, or he might just wholesale them to an end buyer with seller financing, right? So this is kind of like, if someone's in the business, this is different. To me, this is different paper than just a mom and pop person. I treat it a little differently than the mom and pop person that they have one or two deals in their whole. And Adina, will you just mute yourself, because there's a lot of background noise, and I'm just going to talk, and then we'll bring you back on.
Sure. Yeah.
Let's just mute that so the line's clear. But so anyway, I treat the rehabber paper as different than the regular, just somebody carried paper on one or two properties or something like that they owned, or they inherited a note or something like that. This is someone who's in the business of churning paper, and I'm sure he's doing really, really well. So what happens is, if I was just gonna guess based on my experience and the different people, I would guess this guy maybe bought it for $10,000 cash from HUD store or something, may or may not have put any money into it, and then he just marked it up, because you can charge a premium for by offering owner financing. It's the best it's the best amenity that you can offer to increase the price on your home, is being willing to offer the financing, because you're filling a spot that is a big need for a lot of people. So my guess is he might be in at 10, 15 grand. He added, he doubled his money or quadrupled it maybe. And he says, I'm going to sell it for 40,000 down, take $40,000. I'm going to take 10 down. So most of his money is probably already out of it, or a good chunk of it, I would guess. So his returns are phenomenal. Let's just look at that. So if he makes this note, $30,000, right? And it's a 10,000 down is good, because that is what, 25% of the purchase price. So that's great, right? And so 30, and then we said a 6% interest rate. We're going to stick that in I/YR, interest yield area. It's fully amortized over 10 years. So that's 120 months. So I'm going to put that over here in N. Since it's fully amortized, there's no future value. There's no balloon, right? At amortir, by the time, if it's fully amortized, amortir is to kill. So the principal balance of the note is extinguished, is killed, by the time of the maturity date. Maturity date is the drop dead date that everything needs to be paid back. So now I want to solve for the payment, right? So the payment is $333.06. That's almost exactly what you wrote on your paper. So I'm just going to go with this for an example. So now this guy, let's say he has 15,000 into it. This is how powerful this owner financing, if you want to be in the business of churning out the paper, hopefully two things are true. If you're in this business, you're actually doing a little rehab when necessary for the basic structure and function, basic heat, electricity, roof. It's nice, because then if they default, then I've had the pleasure of foreclosing on something that was in really terrible condition because no rehab was done, or less was done than was represented in the beginning. So I end up, barely breaking even on some of these things after I've busted my brains on them for a year, right? So that's frustrating when the values aren't there, or when you inherit a property that is in really terrible condition. So unless you bought it at such a steep discount that you already factored that in, right? So anyway, let's just say this guy, look at his operation. If he's picking up a property for, I'm going to just pretend he's got 15 grand into this, but he already immediately got 10,000 back from the down payment. So now he only has $5,000 left of his own money left tied up in this property. You follow me there? So now let me calculate what his return is. Oh my word, he's got a 80% ROI, return on investment yield on this deal. So can you see how he's doing great? And unless he's really motivated, I can see why is he wanting to discount out of this? What a great thing he's got going there, right? He's making bank on that. So what I'm saying is just go, I like to know what they paid for the property and how much they put in it and actually prove them, because that's actually the cash value of the house. So let's say I was super conservative and I only, basically, first I go, what's my max ITV, the maximum amount of money that I want, that I will risk against this collateral. And this type of collateral, and it's rather new, you said less than a year seasoning. Down payment's great, and the fact that it's non-owner occupied means this is an investor who they put a good chunk down. They're probably not going to walk away from it. They probably know what they're doing. The rent payments from the tenant are paying the mortgage. So you've got the tenant paying the mortgage, and then you've got this guy who doesn't want to waste, $10,000, who's likely, a reasonable landlord type. So anyway, I still would not want to be exposed more than 50 cents on this. So before I calculate what yield would I take, I go, okay, 40,000 times 50%. The most I want exposed against this is $20,000. So that's going in my PV, my present value or loan amount right there. In this case, present value or, and so we know that there's 120 payments. Already 9 have been paid, so we have 111 payments left to receive. 111 of these payments are left. I don't want to be exposed more than 50 cents on this collateral. I would guess 20,000 is more than his acquisition and rehab combined. That's just my guess based on what I think this model is. So if I paid 20 grand, and if he would take 20,000 for his probably 30,000, what would that be? Like 65 cents on the dollar, right? You'd be taking a 35% haircut on that. If he said yes, then my yield would be close to 15%, which would be, I would consider this, a fair return, subject to due diligence, right? Subject to interior, exterior, BPO, broker price opinion or appraisal, because everything hinges on if something goes sideways, what's the actual cash value of that collateral, the house, right? That's what you're gonna get if the loan stops performing, right? So I'm just running that. That's a number I'd be willing to do, and partials, this is already a small note, but theoretically, if someone says, oh my gosh, I really can't afford to lose the rest of this note. I need it for my income, but if I don't have $5,000 right now, I can't pay for my knee surgery or something like that. I've had that happen where, like, just to help somebody out, I bought a front-end partial for $5,000, right? And I can use some of my, the little self-directed accounts between myself and my young adult children. I have a few accounts that I'm working that are small dollar IRA type things that are happy to do some of these smaller deals, right? But anyway, so that's my comment on that one. I hope that helps. Like I said, this guy doesn't sound to me like he's motivated, and the complexity of a partial doesn't make sense. I'm sure he's not like that strapped for cash. But just, you have to remember on these asset classes, the actual cash value is usually much, much, much less than the owner finance value. So anyway, that's probably what I would offer is a 20,000 with splitting fees. If he wants to say, what am I going to net for sure? I would probably say 19,000. So if I'm going to, and then I'll pay all the closing costs, 19,000 divided by what I wonder what the actual balance is. I have to recreate the note to go, what's the actual balance? 30, I have to recreate the whole note to figure that out. And I do this all the time, back and forth and back. This is just like how I do. And so after what do we say, 9 payments, there's 111 to go. So then the balance is 28,319. So if I said you're going to net 19,000 after closing costs and all that I'm going to pay for, divided by your 28,319, then the way I would present this offer is that I'll give you 67% of UPB, unpaid principal balance, and that's what my offer would be. And
you've been listening to Virtual Coffee with Dawn Rickabaugh. For more, please visit notequeen.com.
So someone really smart with initials NQ said, the wealth vampires on Washington and Wall Street would prefer that you sit back and do nothing. It's easier to suck your financial blood when you're docile and distracted. So really, that's the point of why we're here. That's why, I hope, why you're here, and why many of you have been even way more successful than me. I'm not the most successful by dollars or numbers of deals in this room by far. I have a great passion and a vision for it, and I love sharing my thoughts about it and getting the word out. Just so remember, the financial solutions, just one mom and pop to another, matters a lot to me. And so you're here to learn how to not pay the government any more taxes than you have to, and also take charge of your own financial future.